Let's discuss about some of the questions asked from first shift 13 December paper for paper 1 UGC net. Now based on this, all the recent topics and important topics have been incorporated in the lecture course, the complete lecture course, so you can refer that again. Now hardness of the water can be classified as temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is due to presence of calcium and magnesium ion. That's basically the deposition of carbonates. However, when I talk about permanent, it is mainly the calcium and magnesium sulfates which are deposited, right? And the hardness actually causes lines, or we could say scaling, in the pipeline system. So even at your homes, in the taps or somewhere close to the tap area, you would see white flakes or white depositions, and that's the indication of the water hardness or the salt with the waters, right? So D is correct. Hardness of two types, as we already discussed, and then it is caused by calcium and magnesium. So A, B and D are the correct options here. Now what is important is, if there is a permanent hardness, it is tough to remove through simply boiling the water. So for removing the permanent hardness, what is required? You could require soda, surfactant or lime, right? However, if it is a temporary hardness, simply boiling could be one of the ways through which you can remove it. Okay, and hardness, since the water is hard, foam would not form easily, so you would require more consumption for soap. So it would increase the consumption for soap and not decrease the consumption. The next is, which of the following is responsible for negative radiative forcing? Now negative radiative forcing is when we have the incoming solar radiations and outgoing solar radiations, the balance of that is maintained, and that keeps the planet at a optimum temperature. So what would happen is, when there is a radiative changes, positive ones are those which would have a warming effect. So when I say positive, it would cause a warming effect. However, if I say negative, it would cause a cooling effect, right? So stratospheric ozone is one which is responsible for the cooling effect, because it absorbs the ultraviolet rays, and it also absorbs the infrared radiations which is actually trapped in that sheet. The next is RSPM. So suspended particulate matter plus respirable suspended particulate matter together would give the total suspended particulate matter. So respirable suspended particulate matter are those particles which are of the size which are around 10 microns. Okay. However, so PM10 or PM 2.5 would be considered under respirable. Now this says more than 10 microns, so this becomes incorrect, right? Fine particles have less than 2 microns. That's correct, because these two are considered under respirable suspended particulate. Up to 100 microns would be considered under suspended, and together these would be called as the total suspended particulate matter, right? So these are the things that we have covered here. So first one is incorrect, second one is correct here. The next is very important question. Classical Indian logic school of Nyaya talks about various fallacies. So we do have fallacies in Western context as well as in Indian logic context. Now this kind of fallacy which is given here is a fallacy which is known as Asray Siddh. Now what is the difference? Now similar question was asked in 2022, if you remember, and this was the question there was, Golden Mountain has fire because it has smoke. Now there is no real Golden Mountain. Since there is no real Golden Mountain, the existence of smoke is actually not possible, because the mountain itself is not real. Now here again, sky rose is fragrant because it is rose like rose on the earth. Now sky rose is not present, and therefore its fragrant is not possible. So here again it is a fallacy which is Asray Siddh, and this is a fallacy which actually talks about a subtype of Siddha Hetva Bhas, and this happens when the minor term is not real. So here it is the Sky Rose, and in the 2022 question it was a similar kind of question where it was Golden Mountain. So keep a click on the kind of questions and the concepts that are asked. The next is, which of the following have been established during the rule of East India Company? Now during the rule of East India Company, okay, it's important to understand the years through which they have been established. So Fort William College 1800, Serampur College somewhere around 1818, and Pune Sanskrit College 1821. Now all of these were the years before the British Crown, right? So it was when the East India Company was ruling India, before the 1857 mutiny, as simple as that. So these three would be the part of the series of colleges which were established during the time of East India Company. Now these kind of questions have been extensively asked in paper 1 now, and we have covered them in a separate lecture. So just keep an eye on the kind of questions which are changing with the changing patterns, and therefore this concept becomes really important to assimilate. And as I already mentioned in the beginning, all kind of new topics and concepts and questions based on that have been updated in the lecture course. Thanks for joining in.